What is up, everyone? It's been a while since I've done a review like this. They won't happen too often. I'm really liking the live streams, but I just had to give you my quick spoiler-free thoughts on the 2022 requel film, Scream. As some of you may know, I'm not the biggest Scream fan. Don't get me wrong, I love the original one, and Ghostface is iconic as hell. But every movie after the first has been the same formula to me. They make a few small, subtle changes. The old cast always finds a way to return, and they always leave a little bit of wiggle room at the end of each movie for another one to happen. So now we come to this one. My expectations going into this one were kinda low, just going by the trailers. Some younger people die by the hands of a killer or killers portraying Ghostface. The old cast returns, and ooh, the big hook in this one is that the victims are related to people from the original movie, which sounded super uninteresting to me. But I was pleasantly surprised that aspect worked with the type of movie this was. Directed by the duo who did Ready or Not, Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett, these two really embraced the feeling of the original Scream film and definitely honored Wes Craven's legacy. Just like the other movies, there's a meta aspect in this one. By that I mean the characters in this film are constantly referencing the events of the Stab films. It's basically a movie inside of another movie, but the meta stuff in this one takes it to a whole new level, and I loved it. They poke fun at remakes, angry fans, they explain what a requel is, they talk about horrible movie tropes in horror movies. You have some of the old cast and some of the new cast swapping stories and ideas. It just blended really well. Now for the cast, Roger L. Jackson, Courteney Cox, Neve Campbell, David Arquette, and a few surprise others returned to their roles once again, and they were all fantastic. They served a purpose. They didn't feel shoehorned in this time around. I've even complained about how much I dislike David Arquette as an actor, but he was one of my favorites in this one. He's old, washed up, living in a trailer. He's basically Hopper from Stranger Things now. The new blood definitely has some standouts as well. One of my favorites, Melissa Barrera, plays a character by the name of Sam, and she's got a wild side, and there's so much emotional depth to her character that I wasn't even expecting in a freaking horror movie. Her sister in the film is pretty funny too. She's into all the more modern horror movies like Hereditary, The Witch. She calls it elevated horror, I believe. You know, horror movies that have like more depth in some people's opinions, but they aren't for everyone, let me tell you. Probably if you ask this girl anything about Nightmare on Elm Street or Candyman or anything, she wouldn't be able to give you an answer. And with that being said, there's a ton of pop culture references in this movie you guys are gonna love. The kills were brutal. Ghostface is a savage and he uses modern technology to his advantage. He's breaking victims' bones, faking people out, and he makes some changes to the formula that the audience has grown accustomed to by now. I don't know, it just felt more elevated, and the phone banter in this one between Ghostface and his victims is probably the best so far. Hearing him getting pissed off about Gen Z horror fans is a treat and definitely suits the character. My only issue with him though is the same issue I've had with all the other Scream movies. You can have brutality and intensity, but the kills just aren't that iconic. Like, yes, I know Ghostface just has a knife and that's it. But there's so many ways you can use a blade in a horror film without coming off as cheesy. Like, I want to see some Mortal Kombat level knife fatalities in this movie, but unfortunately, we never really get that. If we do, it's rare. But hey, always a chance for an unrated cut, right? I will say, the end of this movie definitely leaves room for some interesting ideas and new directions to go if another film were made. I still prefer the first movie over this, but it's definitely a close second for me. It was entertaining as hell. We got to see some new movie tropes, some old ones, and people in the movies joking about all those horror cliches. And as far as requels go, it's definitely better than some of the crap we've gotten recently. So it's no surprise I'd highly recommend Scream 2022, or Scream 5, whatever the hell you want to call it. It's nothing amazing or mind-blowing, it's just a fun time. Also, if you guys are curious, there is no after credits scene. As always, thanks for watching, but before I leave, I got a question for y'all.
Do you like scary movies? What's your favorite scary movie? You watch out for yourself. You take care, 'cause you never know who's standing behind you.